Welcome to Pathways of Hope. Have you ever been invited to something important, an important event, and then you said no? And then you regretted that response, that you, looking back, would say, I should have gone to that activity, that wedding, or that birthday party, because only the special people were invited, and I did not take advantage of saying yes. Well, the passage today, Jesus is telling a similar story. But if you are a Jew listening to the story, when you are invited to a wedding feast, no one would say no. That's the culture during their time. And so, you are wondering why these people who were invited to the wedding feast were saying no, because in their culture, only those who were relatives will be invited, only those who close friends who are closely linked to the couple will be invited. Unlike nowadays, there's parties that are in a wedding that's so big, sometimes the couple does not even know the people in their wedding. But not in this story. The people who were listening were wondering, why are they saying no? And then Jesus kept the punchline at the very end. When people started saying no in the wedding, they started asking people who they did not know to come to the wedding feast. People who were not supposed to be there. And they came. But the moral of the story becomes even more evident, is there was this one guy who ends up sneaking in. And Jesus was so angry. He was not wearing a wedding garment. What's the big deal? You might say, wow, Jesus is so picky. No. As you're listening to the story, you immediately would say, no one would go to the wedding feast, especially if you were not supposed to be there, and not wear the proper attire to honor the people in the wedding, especially the couple. But Jesus is then using this story to tell us something more important than saying no to a wedding invitation or saying yes to a wedding invitation. It's about being with God and following God and being ready to meet Him. It is so obvious that we are not supposed to say no to God. And if we're given a chance to say yes to God, then we should make the necessary effort to be ready with the way we live our lives. We already know what we're supposed to do. We already know the path to take. But sometimes we still choose to say no to the wedding invitation, or to even go to the wedding, but be not ready and be unprepared. I hope that this will encourage all of us to pursue a life of faithfulness to the Lord. And remember, we are all invited to the wedding feast. there is only one response. That is yes. And we need to be ready.